Welcome back to Jersey Matters. GenScript, which is a biotech company in Piscataway, New Jersey, is looking for emergency approval from the federal government for a test that they developed to find out if people have the antibody to battle COVID-19. Here's our interview with Vice President of Life Science at GenScript, David Martz. You were looking for emergency authorization for a neutralization antibody detection kit. That's a mouthful. What is that?
Yeah, thank you. It is a mouthful. Pleasure to be here. So our neutralization kit is an antibody detection kit that will detect if you have antibodies in your serum that will actually interfere with the binding of the virus to the receptors in the body. Most of the time, people are using like a PCR detection kit to determine if you have it for immediate action, to determine the presence of the piece of the virus. Then over time, your body is going to develop antibodies against that virus. And this kit is going to determine if those antibodies are actually going to be blocking the binding of the virus into the ACE2 receptor. So the goal on this kit is to find out not only do you have antibodies, but are those antibodies going to be inhibiting of the binding reaction, which we believe, once the clinical trials are all done and we get down the road, is going to infer that you actually have immunity. So it's a really exciting assay.
You said a couple of things that I think would concern people. You said when the clinical trials are all finished, and yet you're looking for authorization to use it now. So
Sure.
You're confident it would work right now?
No, so at this point, what we have is emergency use authorization. So what that means is this test has been submitted to the FDA, and we're starting to get some information. And now we can sell this to certified laboratories, to CLIA certified laboratories around the country, and they can use this assay. They can use these reagents in this assay to create their own laboratory-derived tests. So this isn't a direct-to-consumer test by any means. This is going into laboratories and vaccine manufacturers and drug discovery companies as a powerful tool that they can use for their own studies to help validate their vaccines or do long-term studies in terms of how the immunogenicity of this virus and this disease is working, or actually use it to create drugs.
When it goes through all the clinical trials, would it be available to everyone?
We hope so. So that's still, these are long processes and long way away. So we just took the major first step. It's the important first step to get it applied for. Once this is done, then we have to start the clinical trials process, and then actually get the data that can determine this would be a true in vitro diagnostic.
Let's say you've gone through all the clinical trials and it's approved and it's on the market. What does that mean for the population? Why is this different than other things we've heard about?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the key thing is that this test will tell you if you've been exposed and your antibodies are conferring immunity. So just because you have been exposed to it and you have antibodies doesn't necessarily mean you're still safe and you can't get it again. The key thing about this assay, which we hope to get proven out in the clinical trials, is that this assay is going to prove to you that you're technically safe and you can't get it again. And that's what we need to get the kids back in school and everybody back functioning all the time.
So what is the next step? You're just waiting for authorization right now?
So right now, so there's a bunch of next steps. So right now we're waiting for authorization from the FDA to get the emergency use, to get it into all these labs and they can begin doing the studies. Right now we're partnering with people all over the United States and actually all over the world. And some of the most prominent labs in all of research are using this kit and they're entering it into their clinical study programs. So our goal is to continue with these key opinion leaders that are the most knowledgeable in the space, develop a library of information as to how this disease progresses and how this tool can provide the valuable information. And then from there, we'll move on into an actual 510K registration process and work on getting it validated for a true in vitro diagnostic. But that's step 3.
I want to ask you a question that may go beyond the scope of what you've been researching, but we keep hearing that 80%, sometimes the number's over 80% of the people that get COVID-19 don't show symptoms. They're asymptomatic. Does that mean they have an antibody?
So I don't know exactly. I'm not a doctor and I don't want to, go past my area of expertise, but once you've been exposed to the virus, you may or may not show symptoms. If you can test positive, you're not showing symptoms, it still says that your body's been exposed to the virus and you've created antibodies. Different people are going to have different sorts of reactions and have different symptoms. And that's still, it's a very complex disease and lots of people are having different reactions. But even if you've been exposed, your body can create antibodies to it. And then you can, theoretically, if these antibodies are neutralizing, we believe that that would help confer the immunity down the road.
I may be getting too far into the weeds, so we really don't know why people are asymptomatic. We don't
Yeah.
know about their system.
There's a lot that we don't know about this disease. And I think right now there's tremendous amount of research going on. All the major institutions have got multiple of the best people on it. So this has been a worldwide question. So what is going on? Why are some people symptomatic? Why does it affect some people much worse than others? These are the studies that are going on. And quite frankly, I'm excited that they can use this tool to help them figure some of it out. So,
well, that's great. GenScript, you're making New Jersey proud.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad we have a lot of people. I want to get back to work.
That was David Martz, Vice President of Life Science at GenScript in Piscataway, New Jersey. Still to come on Jersey Matters, just when Atlantic City needs it the most, a promise of more development. We'll tell you about it when Jersey Matters comes right back.